What would you drink to live one more hour? March 1994. The Sahara Desert, 4.6 million square miles of nothing. Somewhere in this vastness, an Olympic athlete is about to discover that all his training means absolutely nothing. Meet Mauro Prosperi, Italian police officer, Olympic pentathlete, a man who thought he understood suffering. He was wrong. The Marathon des Sables. 6 days, 250 kilometers, through the world's largest hot desert. Athletes call it the toughest foot race on Earth. For 3 days, Mauro dominated. His body was a machine, heart rate controlled, pace perfect, confidence soaring. The desert seemed manageable. Then came day 4. You need to understand something about sandstorms in the Sahara. They don't announce themselves. One moment you're running under a blue sky, the next, the world disappears. Wind speeds, 70 miles per hour, visibility, 0. The storm erased every landmark, every trail marker, every footprint. Mauro's compass became a toy, spinning uselessly as magnetic particles in the air scrambled its needle. But here's what the compass couldn't show him. He was no longer in Morocco. The storm had pushed him 181 miles off course, into Algeria. When the wind finally died, Mauro stood up and looked around. What he saw would break most people instantly. Nothing. In every direction. Nothing. Day 5. Half a liter of water left. Some dried fruit. In the Sahara, that's not a supply list, it's a countdown. Mauro knew the math. But knowing and accepting are different things. He rationed like his life depended on it, because it did. 3 drops every hour. No more. By noon, his urine was dark amber. By evening, barely a trickle. His kidneys were starting to shut down. That's when he made a choice that would horrify most people. He saved it. Every drop. Because Mauro understood something about survival that most of us pray we'll never learn. When you're dying of thirst, dignity becomes a luxury you can't afford. The taste, drinking liquid metal, he'd say later. But it bought him hours. And in the desert, hours are everything. Day 6 brought a miracle. An abandoned shrine forgotten by time. Inside. Rainwater. Ancient, stagnant, covered in green slime. To you and me, poison. To Mauro, salvation. But the shrine had other residents. Bats. What happened next separates survivors from victims. Mauro didn't hesitate. He didn't think about disease or disgust or what his family would say. He thought about calories. The taste? He described it as licking a battery. The texture? Rubber soaked in copper. But each bat contained roughly 50 calories and 7 grams of protein. His Olympic training finally served a purpose, not for speed, but for the discipline to do what was necessary. Even when necessary, it was unthinkable. Day 7. His body was cannibalizing itself. Olympic muscle, built over decades, melting away to keep his heart beating. But the physical breakdown was nothing compared to what was happening in his mind. Severe dehydration doesn't just kill your body, it rewrites your reality. Mauro started seeing things, hearing things, dead relatives calling his name, oases that vanished when he stumbled toward them. The line between hallucination and hope blurred completely. That night, he wrote what he thought would be his final letter to his wife. The pen tore through the paper. His hands wouldn't stop trembling. Then he pulled out his knife. But wait. Here's where this story takes a turn no one saw coming. He cut. The pain was sharp, real, the first real thing he'd felt in days. But his blood wouldn't flow. Dehydration had turned his blood to syrup. It clotted instantly. Even death was rejecting him. In that moment, something shifted. Death wasn't his enemy anymore. It was walking beside him. Not yet. Day 8. Day 9. He kept walking, but he wasn't the same man anymore. Maps would later show he'd traveled 291 kilometers, 111 kilometers beyond the intended race route, through mountain ranges, across borders, into territory no runner was meant to see. His body moved on autopilot, guided by something deeper than conscious thought, survival instinct, divine intervention, or just the stubborn refusal of an elite athlete to quit. Then, on day 9, a Tuareg girl spotted something moving in the distance. At first, she couldn't tell what it was. When she realized it was a person, she screamed and ran. Because what she saw wasn't a man anymore. It was something else. 61 pounds lighter, skin hanging like leather, eyes sunken so deep they looked like holes. Doctors said his kidneys were destroyed. His blood was a toxic soup. By every medical standard, he should have been dead days ago. But here's the twist that stunned everyone, including Mauro himself. 2 years later, Mauro did something that shocked the survival community. He came back, not to conquer the desert, not to prove anything to the world, but to prove something to himself. This time, he finished the race. Because he'd learned the desert's most important lesson. It's not about being stronger than nature. It's about being worthy of its mercy. Mauro Prosperi spent 9 days as the desert's guest. He paid the price in blood, insanity, in pieces of himself he'll never get back. But he learned something that could save your life someday. The desert teaches you that survival isn't about the strong consuming the weak. It's about respect. Respect for the environment, respect for your limits, and respect for the part of you that refuses to quit, even when quitting makes sense. Subscribe now, hit that notification bell, because in survival, preparation isn't optional.